Welcome to another segment of High School Geometry with Netz and Weichel. This is Mrs. Netz,
And this is Mrs. Weichel.
and today we are covering 4.2 angle constructions. What will we be learning? Well, by the end of the lesson, you will be able to perform constructions to copy an angle and bisect an angle. Why do you need to know this? Well, so you can recognize accepted systems and prove the accuracy of idealized constructions. How will you know it? You'll know you've mastered it when you can spot unreasonable results that software may have come up with due to bugs or rounding errors. So much like 4.1, again, in the real world, chances are you will probably not use a traditional compass because we have technology that does a lot of it for us. However, understanding the use of a compass, how it works, and why it works will help you to spot errors that come up when using technology.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So first we're going to copy an angle. You're going to have 5 steps for copying an angle. And again, just like in our previous lesson, each step should build upon itself. So as Mrs. Netz suggested, maybe work completely in the 5th box to start and then backtrack later on so that you can visually see what each step looks like. So copying an angle, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a line, and you're going to put one point on this line. That is going to represent the vertex on the angle you're creating. So right here you can see I have my line, and what I want you to visualize is that this is actually one side of my new angle that I'm creating. This is the vertex. So I'm going to be copying this angle down here somewhere. So draw a line with one point on it. Your second step, after you've drawn your line, you are going to draw an arc from the vertex of the given triangle, and it must intersect the 2 sides of the angle. So you can see here how I'm showing this. You're going to place your compass on the vertex. You can open this at any width that you are comfortable with, as long as you are creating 2 intersections. So here's 1 and 2. As far as comfort for where you want your arcs to be, the smaller you make the radius of your circle that you're drawing, the harder your compass is to hold. And then if you go too big, it's not going to intersect before your arrows end. So and you'll have to extend the sides, which is just more work. So make sure you're finding a comfortable place where you're going to get those 2 intersections. Now, similar to something we did in 4.1, this step and then the 3rd step need to be done back to back. So make a note right now that step 2 and 3 need to be done together. For sure, you can't take a break in between these 2 steps. So in step 2, you drew this arc right here. Right away, without adjusting your compass, you're going to slide the metal point of your compass over to that point you made, that new vertex, and you're going to draw the same arc from that new place. So you're going to only get one intersection because you only have the one line. So we're going to go a little bit longer because we don't know where the other side of my angle actually lies, but we know it's somewhere over here. So we just want to make sure that we're going long enough. So it's always safe to go a little longer than the original one. The next step, step 4, now we're on the bottom row, you are going to take your compass and you're going to measure how wide this is. So we're going to put 1 and 2. What you actually have here, the reason this is a step, you're actually making a triangle with your compass and the 2 sides of your angle right there. So here's side 1, side 2, and side 3. You know that through side, 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 that triangles are congruent. Well, you already have one side over here. We need to figure out where the other 2 sides are going to go. So this far from the vertex, the angle is open this big. So you're going to come over here to where that same place is, right here where the arc and the line are intersecting, and you're going to mark that distance. So what you've created in essence is a congruent triangle to your original. Here is, again, 1, 2, 3. Well, here is 1, 2, your third one is going to be where the other side of the angle goes, which is our final step. Oops, there we go. So your final step, with your straight edge, you're going to go ahead and connect the vertex of your new angle through that intersection point, and you can see I've created my congruent angles. Highlight so that's what you can see. And that is how you copy an angle.
Very cool.
Let's go ahead and bisect an angle.
My favorite, my favorite, my favorite.
Okay, so turn your notes over. Your first step, you're going to draw an arc from the vertex of your given angle.
Do you know why we're doing that vertex, or why we're drawing that arc?
Why?
Well, we're drawing that arc so that way we have a spot that is an equal distance or equidistant from the vertex on both rays, because then we can use that same distance on both to give us a reference mark to draw a center or a line that will bisect. Did you know that?
I didn't, but I do know that, again, you're basically making congruent triangles through this, through side, 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 so similar to what you just said.
Love, love, love.
We know that congruent triangles have congruent parts, and congruent angles would be those parts. So our second step, after you draw that initial arc, just like with copying an angle, that first arc has to go through the angle twice. So here's 1 and 2. In step 2, you're going to move your compass to one of the intersections, and you're going to draw an arc on the interior of the angle. And what I mean by that is you don't want your arc to be way out here. This would be the exterior. We want to stay inside of my angle. Your compass does not need to be the same size as it was for the first arc. You could take a break after step 1 if you need, and then start over. So we're going to draw an arc right here. Now again, make a note please that step 3 needs to be done immediately following step 2 because it starts with the words without adjusting. So it's really important that step 2 and step 3 are done back to back together without any pause. So we drew our arc from the top intersection. We got our arc right here. Without adjusting your compass, you're going to do the same exact arc from the other intersection. So it doesn't matter which one you do first because you're going to do the same thing from both of them. That should create an intersection between those last 2 arcs. So you can see I have one right here. When you are drawing a bisector, you're drawing a ray, which is a piece of a line, which means you need at least 2 points. Well, one of them is definitely going to go through the vertex. You just created your second point you needed. So the last thing you need to do is, with your straight edge, draw the angle bisector.
So I like to tell my students that X marks the spot. So that X that you're using, that you're creating with your compass, marks the other point that you are attaching.
Exactly. And as we were saying, the reason these steps are the steps for your construction, you've made a congruent side and side here. Here you copied this distance. I wanted a different color. Huh. Okay. I just went way to the wrong place. Sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Anyways, this is the answer because here is another congruent pair of sides, and then by reflexive property, we have that. So you actually have 2 congruent triangles in this construction step. So that is it for constructing copies of angles and bisecting angles. So hopefully you have strong confidence in constructing 2 congruent angles or bisecting an angle, finding that middle wherever it should be. So if you have any questions, as always, reach out to Mrs. Netz or myself through Remind or email us at the emails you can see on your screen.
Hey, Mrs. Weigel.
Hey, what, Miss Netz?
What do you get when you cross a pebble with a sphere?
I don't know what.
Rock and roll!
Yeah! All right, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you in 4.3.